Okay, let's picture this. You wake up, and every single day starts with this, it's just unrelenting discomfort. It's so bad that even simple things are a massive effort, never mind actually working a full day. For so many people, this isn't, just a side issue. It's the main reason they can't work.
Right.
Think about someone maybe like Sarah, who worked in manufacturing here in Virginia. Dedicated worker. But now severe arthritis makes standing for more than, say, an hour just impossible.
Yeah, you hear stories like that a lot.
And the pain is obviously real to her, but the huge challenge for Sarah, and honestly countless others, is getting that across. Making the Social Security Administration really understand that daily debilitating impact, it often leads to these really frustrating rejections.
And that really hits on the core complexity, doesn't it? When we talk about Social Security disability, SSD claims and chronic pain is the main issue. Because, well, pain is subjective. Only you truly know what your pain feels like. But the SSA, they operate on objective proof. They demand substantiation for that pain to count as, truly disabling.
It's a tough spot, proving something so personal within a system that needs objective facts.
Exactly. It's a fundamental challenge.
So that's what we're diving into today. We want to unpack how pain really factors into SSD eligibility. We'll look at how the SSA actually evaluates it, what are the best ways for you to document your pain effectively. We'll also touch on common problems, things that trip people up, and maybe some strategies to build a stronger case, get you the support you deserve. And we'll try to bring in some specifics, especially for folks listening in Virginia, maybe Maryland, North Carolina, West Virginia too, where certain jobs or situations might bring unique hurdles.
Yeah, that regional context can be important.
Okay, so first things first. When the SSI talks about pain in a claim, what exactly do they mean? It's definitely more than just, feeling discomfort.
Right. It's not just the sensation. For the SSA, pain is understood as physical or maybe psychological distress, but, and this is key, it has to arise from a verifiable medical condition.
Okay, so a diagnosed issue.
Yes, a medically determinable impairment. And that impairment, through the pain it causes, must severely restrict your ability to engage in what they call gainful employment.
Gainful employment. So basically working a regular job.
Pretty much. The pain has to be the core, proven reason you can't maintain substantial work activity.
And the SSA acknowledges it feels subjective, but they still need that concrete evidence.
They absolutely do. They understand you feel it, but they need medical backing. You can describe it all day long, but without linking it to a diagnosed condition and showing how it functionally stops you, well, it's usually not going to be enough for them.
Gotcha. So what kinds of conditions often lead to these chronic pain disability claims? We mentioned arthritis.
Yeah, arthritis is a big one. Also things like fibromyalgia, which is notoriously difficult sometimes. Various spinal problems, herniated discs, degenerative disc disease, stenosis.
Things that really impact mobility and stamina.
Exactly. Think about those sectors you mentioned in Virginia, like manufacturing or healthcare. They demand physical ability. So conditions like severe arthritis can just completely knock someone out of that workforce.
Right. And you mentioned West Virginia, too.
Yeah, and with Virginia, for example, you might see a higher rate of occupational injuries, things from mining or heavy industry, that unfortunately lead to long-term persistent pain. Claimants there often have to clearly show how that lingering pain prevents them from doing physically demanding work.
Okay. So how does this all fit into the SSA's actual process? How do they decide if the pain is truly disabling?
Well, it has to meet their specific criteria. First, the condition causing the pain and the pain itself must be expected to last, or have already lasted, for at least 12 continuous months.
A full year, okay.
A full year. And crucially, it has to demonstrably prevent you from doing the work you used to do.
Your past relevant work.
Correct. Or, if you can't do your past work, it must also prevent you from adjusting to other types of work that exist in the national economy, considering your age, education, and skills.
So it's not just about your old job.
No, it's broader. Yeah. And this whole assessment fits squarely into their standard 5-step evaluation process. That's the framework they use for every single disability claim, pain-related or otherwise. It ensures they look at everything systematically.
That 5-step process, we should probably cover that in another deep dive sometime. But for pain specifically, how do they actually measure something so personal? You mentioned it's subjective.
Right. It's a really good question. How do they scrutinize it? They have a specific method, a 2-step approach. It's laid out in one of their internal rulings, SSR 16-3P.
SSR 16-3P. Okay.
Yeah, it stands for Social Security ruling. And 16-3P specifically deals with evaluating symptoms, including pain, and disability claims. It guides the decision makers.
So what are the 2 steps?
Okay, step 1. They first have to verify that you have an underlying medically determinable impairment again, that diagnosable condition that could reasonably be expected to produce the kind of pain you're reporting.
So step 1 is just establishing the medical basis. Does the diagnosis fit the symptom?
Exactly. Then, if they establish that link, they move to step 2. And step 2 is where they actually evaluate the intensity, the persistence, and critically, the limiting effects of your pain.
Limiting effects. So how it actually restricts your function.
Precisely. How does the pain stop you from doing things? Does it limit your ability to sit, stand, walk, lift, carry, handle objects? Does it interfere with concentration, memory, your ability to follow instructions, or interact with others? That's what they're assessing in step 2.
And what kind of information do they look at to figure that out?
Oh, a whole range of things.
Yeah.
They consider your own statements about your pain, where it is, how often, what makes it better or worse.
Your daily activities, too.
Definitely. What you can still manage to do, what you've had to give up. They look at the type, dosage, effectiveness, and side effects of any medications you take.
What about treatments?
Yep, treatments you've received, physical therapy, injections, surgery, anything. And even other measures you might use to relieve pain, like resting, using heat or ice, alternative therapies. They want the full picture.
It sounds incredibly thorough.
It is. And this brings us back to a crucial point, consistency. The information from all these sources, your testimony, your medical records, any third-party statements it needs to paint a consistent picture.
Okay. So if you say you can barely walk, but your doctor's notes mention you went hiking, that's a problem.
That's a huge problem. And remember, here in Virginia, the initial review is done by the state agency, the Disability Determination Services, or DDS.
Right, the DDS.
Those DDS examiners are specifically trained to look for consistency. And for chronic pain claims, especially for conditions that aren't easily visible, like fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, they rely heavily on detailed reports from your treating physicians. They need to see that your doctor's assessment of your limitations aligns with what you're reporting about your daily struggles.
That makes sense. The doctor's notes need to back up your story.
Absolutely. It gives you subjective report, objective credibility.
Okay, so knowing all this, knowing how the SSA looks at pain and the importance of consistency, how can someone listening effectively document their pain for their claim? What should you be doing?
This is where you can really take some control. Building robust documentation is key. And a really powerful tool to start with is keeping a personal pain log or journal.
A pain log. Tell me more about that. What goes in it?
Well, it's not just scribbling notes. It should be somewhat structured. You want to track things like the date, the time, maybe rate your pain severity. A simple 1 to 10 scale works well. Note the location of the pain, what you were doing when it started or got worse, what it felt like: sharp, dull, throbbing. And really importantly, how did it limit you? What could you not do because of the pain at that moment? Did it affect work tasks, chores, social activities?
So linking the pain directly to functional impact.
Yes, that's the goal. And here's a pro tip. Don't just keep this log to yourself. Take it to your doctor appointments. Discuss it with your medical providers, especially those based here in Virginia if that's where you are.
Why is that so important?
Because if you discuss it with them, they can incorporate observations from your log into your official medical records. Now, your detailed daily experience becomes part of the objective medical evidence the SSA reviews. It bridges that subjective-objective gap.
That's smart. It validates the log.
It really does.
You also mentioned treatment earlier. What about keeping up with that?
Absolutely crucial. Maintaining ongoing care is non-negotiable in the SSA's eyes.
Why is that such a big deal?
Because significant gaps in your treatment or failing to follow your doctor's recommendations without a good reason can seriously undermine your claim's credibility.
Oh, so?
The SSA might interpret it as your condition not being as severe as you claim, or that you're not really motivated to try and get better. They want to see that you're consistently seeking help and trying the prescribed treatments, even if those treatments aren't, completely fixing the problem.
So sticking with the plan shows the condition is serious and you're taking it seriously.
Exactly. It demonstrates the persistence of the issue and your efforts to manage it.
Okay, so beyond the pain log and consistent treatment, what other documentation is vital?
Well, you definitely need the core medical evidence. That means diagnostic results, things like X-rays, MRIs, CT scans, nerve conduction studies, lab work. Whatever objective tests confirm the underlying medical condition causing your pain.
The proof of the impairment itself.
Precisely. But that's often not enough on its own. You need to supplement that with your personal narrative, your detailed descriptions of your symptoms and limitations. And critically, consider getting statements from people who know you well.
Like family members or maybe old coworkers.
Yes, exactly. Third-party testimonials from relatives, friends, former colleagues, even former supervisors can be incredibly powerful. They can provide concrete examples of how your pain impacts your daily life and functioning from an outside perspective.
That adds another layer of credibility.
It does. And one more thing, sometimes it's beneficial to get specific assessments done, like a functional capacity evaluation, or FCE.
An FCE.
Yeah, these are tests usually done by physical or occupational therapists that specifically measure your ability to perform work-related tasks, lifting, carrying, sitting, standing, etc., and document your limitations due to pain or other symptoms. It directly translates your condition into workplace restrictions.
That sounds like very targeted evidence.
It can be very persuasive, yeah. A strong strategy to consider.
Okay, we've talked about how to build a case, but what are some of the common roadblocks or hurdles people face when their SSD claim is centered on pain?
The biggest one, we keep coming back to it, is the subjectivity issue. Because pain can't be objectively measured like, say, a lab value, the SSA might doubt the severity or the limiting effects you're claiming if the evidence isn't strong and consistent across the board.
So skepticism is kind of the default starting point.
You could say that, yeah. They need to be convinced. And we often see denials, particularly here in Virginia and surrounding areas, stemming from an inadequate explanation of how the pain specifically prevents work.
So it's not enough to just say, I have chronic back pain.
No. You have to connect the dots. My chronic back pain, diagnosed via MRI as degenerative disc disease, prevents me from sitting for more than 20 minutes at a time, and I can't lift more than 10 pounds, which means I can no longer perform my past work as a secretary or any other sedentary job. That's the level of detail needed.
Drawing that direct line between the condition, the symptom, and the inability to work.
That's the key.
What about other health problems? Does that complicate things?
It definitely can, but it also needs to be addressed. Chronic pain very often coexists with other conditions, especially mental health issues like depression or anxiety.
Right. Being in constant pain would understandably affect your mood.
Absolutely. And it's important to document these coexisting conditions because they can compound the disability. Mental health issues can sometimes amplify the perception of physical pain or make it harder to cope with limitations. So connecting these issues gives the SSA a fuller, more accurate picture of your overall functional capacity.
So you should include evidence about anxiety or depression if it's relevant.
Yes, definitely. Treat it as part of the whole picture of what's preventing you from working.
Let's reiterate the role of medical proof then. It seems paramount.
It truly is the cornerstone. You absolutely need that objective medical evidence. We talked about the diagnostic tests confirming the condition. But just as important are the ongoing treatment records. Progress notes from your doctor that detail your symptoms, their severity, limitations observed during exams, and the effectiveness, or lack thereof, of treatments over time.
Those regular doctor visit notes.
Yes. And specific statements from your physicians assessing your functional limitations, what you can and cannot do in a work setting, are indispensable. They carry significant weight.
And you mentioned something specific for Virginia applicants.
Well, it applies everywhere, but it's worth emphasizing.
Yeah.
Make sure your documentation clearly shows treatments you've tried that didn't work. Unsuccessful interventions demonstrate the severity and persistence of your condition.
Okay.
And also document any adverse side effects from medications or treatments. If the cure is causing problems of its own, that's another factor limiting your ability to work.
Right. That adds another layer to the difficulty. So listening to all this, it sounds like a pretty complex process to navigate, especially when you're already dealing with chronic pain. Trying to do this alone seems risky.
It really does carry significant risks. You're trying to learn the SSA's complex rules, gather very specific kinds of evidence, and present it in the way they expect, all while managing a debilitating health condition. It's a lot.
So what's the alternative? Is legal help beneficial here?
Oh, absolutely. There's a clear advantage to seeking legal support from an attorney who specializes in SSD matters.
How specifically can they help?
Well, a good SSD attorney, especially one familiar with the local system, say here in Virginia, knows exactly what kind of evidence the SSA and the state DDS are looking for. They can help you gather the right medical records, work with your doctors to get supportive statements detailing your functional limitations, help you accurately complete the mountain of paperwork.
So taking that burden off your shoulders.
Yes, and ensuring it's done correctly. They can also help prepare you for any hearings you might have to attend, represent you before the administrative law judge, and handle the appeals process if your initial claim is denied, which unfortunately happens quite often with pain-based claims.
That familiarity with the local DDS patterns you mentioned, does that really make a difference?
It can offer a distinct strategic edge. They might know which types of evidence tend to be more persuasive with local adjudicators or judges, or common reasons for denial in the area, allowing them to proactively address those issues in your application. It's about understanding the nuances of the system you're in.
That definitely sounds like a worthwhile investment, especially given the stakes.
It often is. Getting expert input early can significantly improve your chances of a successful outcome. If you're struggling with chronic pain and considering applying for SSD, seeking legal advice promptly is usually a very good idea.
Don't wait until you're denied to get help.
Ideally, no. Getting it right from the start is always better.
Okay, wow. We have covered a lot of ground today on this really complex topic of pain and SSD claims. We've gone from understanding the SSA's specific two-step evaluation, first the diagnosis, then the functional limits, to the practical steps of documenting your pain, like using that personal log to connect your daily experience to the medical records.
Right, bridging that gap.
And leveraging all the evidence, medical tests, doctor statements, even those third-party testimonials from family or coworkers. It's clear you need to build a really comprehensive, consistent case.
Absolutely. And the main takeaway, I think, is that while your pain is subjective, proving its disabling impact to the SSA is definitely achievable. It's not impossible. The whole key is making that clear connection between your personal experience of pain, the objective medical evidence that explains why you have it, and the specific functional limitations that show how it prevents you from working.
Linking the feeling to the facts and the functional fallout.
That's a good way to put it, yes.
So, as we wrap up, here's something to think about. We know pain is subjective, and we know the SSA needs objective proof, beyond the standard medical reports and logs we discussed. Are there maybe some creative but still ethical ways people could try to convey the lived experience of their pain? Something that might help a decision maker truly grasp the day-to-day reality beyond the charts and forms.
That's an interesting question.
Maybe things like, I don't know, short, anonymized video clips showing difficulty with a basic task, or perhaps a more detailed pain impact questionnaire that goes beyond just a number scale to capture those moments of, sudden agony or the sheer frustration that forms don't really capture.
That's definitely food for thought. How to ethically and effectively communicate that lived reality within the existing framework. It's a challenge worth considering.
Definitely something for you, the listener, to mull over, especially if you're navigating this yourself. How can your unique story be told most effectively?